Hey y'all, good evening. Happy Sunday to you. I'm excited that y'all are here hanging out with me on this Sunday evening, and I hope y'all have had a good weekend. Let me tell you, since I was little, I've known that I was a little different, but I'm gonna tell you more about that in a minute. So hang tight. So since I was a kid, my mom, she doesn't do this now. It just comes second nature to me. But my mom, she taught me to always acknowledge people because she would see people looking and staring at me, and she would look at me and say, "Hey, Ricky, look at those people over there and wave." And I was like a little kid. I didn't know what was going on. I don't know. I didn't know why she was telling me to look at these people and wave. I mean, it was just like, "Hey, okay, I'll do that, mom." And me being an extrovert and what's known as a sanguine, which is someone who's very people oriented. I would love that. I would love to say hi to people and look at them and just wave. Um, and no matter how old they were, it was young people, old people, and I didn't know why she was doing this, but as I grew older, I started to realize what was going on. I started to realize people were looking at me, and I didn't really notice it. I never was self conscious about me being different because me being different was normal. Like that was just the way I grew up. I knew that there was a difference. I saw everyone walking around, and I wasn't. I didn't get my first wheelchair until I believe I was age 5, and I started going to school then. And even then, like I knew I was different, and it was really neat being different because I saw that people were curious as I grew up and went to school and stuff. I noticed that people were looking at me, and I was like, okay, well, that's just I guess I don't know. Like I didn't take offense to it or whatever, but I just took the initiative to say hello to people because that's the way that my mom really brought me up. And since I was, oh goodness, I mean, I have a really good memory, and I can remember things when I was like 1 year old. And so we would go to the mall, uh, Walmart, local Walmart, and they were connected. So I was like loving it anytime we could go to Walmart because that meant we could probably go to the mall. And if we went to the mall, that meant more people to me. Like I was like, oh yay! Like I would get energized just from a young age. I just loved people and just loved that engagement and being able to connect with people just from a young age. I didn't really know the impact that that would have growing into adulthood because as I've mentioned, the passage where Jesus is talking to the disciples about the man born blind. And this guy was born like that because he was going to glorify God. And, people looked down on this man well, people looked down on disabilities. and sometimes still do around the world. But, you know, people thought that there was a reason for this man being born blind. And so Jesus said to his disciples, hey, look, it wasn't because this man sinned or his parents, nothing that someone did wrong, but he was born like this. He was born different. He was different for God's glory. There's a lot to that story in John chapter 9, but I love verse 3 the most because it talks about him being born that way because of God's glory. You know, I bet that man faced many trials just as I have, or just as you have. They may look different. But I'll tell you what really struck me. I was at church, and those of you who really personally know me know that I have a heart for kids, and I just have this passion. I love kids. Yeah, they're such a cool blessing, and um, any chance that I get that a kid is curious, I engage with the kid. And so there was this little girl at church, and probably I think her grandma said that she was 2, and she looked at me, and we locked eyes for a second, and then she like she was going in a different direction, and then she turned around and came back and wanted to say hi, and I I locked eyes as she passed, and then I gave her I broke eye contact and then gave her my attention when she came back through. And she was just so curious about someone that was different. And I take the opportunity to give the attention to curiosity. Most of the time, kids are not familiar with how to really talk to people or anything. And that's amazing, actually, because they haven't been impacted by the social norms of, oh, well, you don't say that or you don't say this. It's so pure and innocent that they are really just attempting to figure it out. And it's a fun thing to witness because as the little kids are asking questions or really engaging, um, they're not always just asking questions. A lot of the times they're just stating what they see. For example, this little girl said, hey, he's little. And I've gotten, hey, he's got a big belly. Um, and it makes the parents uncomfortable or grandparents. And I'm like, I want to show compassion to them as well because in actuality, like they're uncomfortable because they're not really sure how I'm going to respond or what to say as well. And so I take that to be an honoring thing to experience when this happens because it gives me the opportunity to engage with the parents and the kids. And it's a really cool thing where I can show God's glory and teach the parents even that it's okay for their kids to be doing that because they're curious. And I think that if more people would be okay with that and with themselves to be able to come up and ask questions, I think that that would be an amazing thing because I take the opportunity to show Christ, His goodness, and that's really just me showing the joy of the Lord and me being content. One time I was going into the store and there was an adult. It was a rare occasion, and it caught me off guard because I'm like, wait, I don't really get this from adults. When this guy going into the store at the same time I was going in, and he said, "Hey, man, how you doing? Why are you like that?" And I was like, "Oh, wow, like that's so cool. I loved it." And he was just very blunt and didn't really like have any. He was just scared. So I was like, "Oh yeah, dude, my bones break easily, and this is just what it is." And he was like, "Oh wow, that's interesting. I've never witnessed something like this before." And in that moment, I was like, "That is so awesome!" Like I loved it. And so it was a moment for me to bring value to that person's questions and not to shun them for asking me a question. And so I love moments like that when I can take advantage of being different because it allows for me to shine God's glory. And really, I'm going to go into this. This is why Ricky Speaks Life really exists. There's, you know, many facets to it, but it's really to show God's love and to love on people. And I do this through raising money for people who need wheelchairs and by sharing the goodness of God's grace through the gospel of Christ on the cross. And so, hey, if you've been impacted by this video, like it, share it. Because really, like, it's so cool when I can share being different with people and share God's goodness through that. So, thanks for hanging. I hope y'all have a good night, a good week ahead. Tune in next time. Bye.